You shouldn't expect anything from a relationship. You should be in a relationship where you want to do stuff for each other. And if you're not, you're probably not in the right relationship.
It's not just about one person gives and the other person always takes. You know, what I would be looking for in a person that I would bring in as a wife, then, yeah, that person will also be looking to give as much as I'm looking to give.
Modern dating is complicated, but honest conversations shouldn't be. Welcome to Beyond the Profile. Swipe less, connect more. Hi, I'm Tonya Buford, your host of Beyond the Profile. Swipe less, connect more. This episode is part of our playlist series, Understanding Men, the things women need to know but are seldom explained. In episode 3, we will explore the question that sparks a lot of debate in modern dating. Should men pay for everything? From first dates to long-term relationships, expectations around money and the responsibility can create a lot of tension between men and women. So what do men really actually think about this? Let's get into the conversation. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing and turning on your notifications so you won't miss any future episodes. And I want you to watch to the end for my recap. This is Tonya Buford with Beyond the Profile, Swipe Less, Connect More. Get into it. Hi, I'm Tonya Buford, and I'm your host for Beyond the Profile, Swipe Less, Connect More. Today, we're talking about money, and we're talking about whether a man is supposed to pay for everything. You're watching our part 3 of our 4-part series, Understanding Men, What Women Need to Know But Seldom Explained. Today, we're going to talk about money and whether or not the man should pay for everything, okay? So stay with us to the end of this episode, and I'm going to unpack what it is that we talked about today. So before we get started, I'd like to introduce you to my panel. So over here in my far right, I have Jayrick. Jayrick, tell us a little bit about yourself and, introduce yourself.
Yo, what's good, family? This is J to the Rick, Jayrick Hayes. I'm a relationship coach here in the district, so I'm like one of the leading guys here that's like playing hitch out here in these streets, just with an afro. And we're making it look good. So helping, really close the gap with this gender war right now specifically, and really trying to make sure that young people, especially fresh outside of college and 18 to 29, are finding viable room to actually not just work, but also have a, robust social life. And so that's where I come in.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. And welcome back to Miss Mary Jo.
Yes.
Tell us about yourself.
Yes, I'm Jo Martinez. I am otherwise known as Date Dr. DC, very similar to Jayrick. I'm a dating relationship coach. I host live dating events and singles events. So yeah, I'm just trying to create community because it can be a little lonely out here. So I want to fix that.
I love it.
Miss Carla. Hey.
I'm Carla Braunnum, a DCPS worker, food auditor that works for elementary, high school, and middle. So I just work with the kids and make sure their food is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a good job.
Absolutely.
Okay, we appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Rochelle.
Hi, I am Rochelle Renee. I'm the creator and founder of the Single Mingle DMV. I curate events for singles to meet in person. So it's an alternative to online dating. I also do some matchmaking and some relationship counseling.
Ooh, we love that.
Hi, everybody. Kevin Watts. I am an employee of the Department of Homeland Security and also a veteran, military veteran, and just been in the area 5-6 years or so now, and just very interested in the conversation, the topics that we discuss, and just learning more about how we could kind of come together, including myself, as far as dating and relationships.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate all of you. I'm going to address this to the ladies first. Ladies first. Should men pay for everything? Dates, vacation, beauty, upkeep, rent, nails, hair, all the things.
No.
Okay.
I don't think it's simple. I mean, just because he's a man, he's supposed to provide. Okay, that's cool. But I think for your personal necessities, that should come out your pocket. But if a man is inviting you out or, you know, see that you might be lacking a little something, then your man can definitely pay for that. But I don't think it's necessary for him to pay for everything. Like,
Okay. What about you, Mary Jo?
I think if I'm invited on a date and you ask me to pay, there is a 0 chance you're getting a second date. I think my general upkeep, it's funny when guys get upset and they're like, I have to pay for the dates. We have to pay for hair, for makeup, for our nails. My makeup alone costs more than what you're going to pay for this date. So I think that's kind of equitable if you're paying for the dates. But all the other stuff, that's just nice. I have a partner who fills up my gas. I'm not asking that. He sees a need and he fulfills that need. And I think that's so attractive. And I think that is so courteous. And, but it's not necessary.
Yeah.
I would still love him the same if he was not doing that.
But you don't expect him to pay for it.
Of course not. Of course, you shouldn't expect anything from a relationship. You should be in a relationship where you want to do stuff for each other. And if you're not, you're probably not in the right relationship.
Wow, Miss Rochelle, I know you got something good.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I do not think that we need to even be having conversations that surround money. I think that there is more about intentionality rather than it is about money. There's a lot of talk about 50-50. I think when you're in a real relationship, or a healthy relationship, it could be 80-20 one day. It could be 90-10. It could be 50-50. So again, if you've ever seen marriage vows really play out or a healthy relationship over a period of time, you would know that someone is not always at 100% to pay for 100% of everything. So again, it's a very unrealistic expectation that someone would always, carry that load and carry that weight.
That's good. That's good. Well, gentlemen, what's your thought? I want to hear it because I hear other stuff. I hear all kinds of stuff, but I want to hear.
Yeah, not no, but heck no.
Okay. The clean version.
Well, and I just say that because if this was 1926, that'd be maybe a different conversation. But so much has happened in the last 100 years, and our roles have kind of been redefined, especially when it comes to what's expected of a woman in the courting phase, as well as getting into a relationship and then marriage. So the fact that you're now you're independent, you're in the workforce, you're not. It's not like you're in home ec or that you are taking all these cooking classes and that you don't have any income and all you know how to do is be a wife. And so we got to do the old school courting and dating thing. All that's out the window now. You're in the workforce. You're doing the same thing that I'm doing. You're earning money. So break some of that off with me.
Okay.
Right?
I said break it off.
But I'm not that I would be expecting you to go 50-50 or anything like that. But yeah, occasionally, maybe up to 20% of the time, you could kick in a little something here and there just to show that, you have an effort because, what else are you bringing? Are you going to bring, you're going to bake some muffins or some cookies? Well, I mean, you got to, I think we use the word reciprocity, right? So it's not just about one person gives and the other person always takes. And so as long as you're bringing something to the table that's kind of valuable, I don't have an issue, paying. I'm prepared to pay for everything. I'm the backup. I'm the emergency. That's the whole part of, for me, being a leader as a man is to have that foresight and be able to plan for the expected, the unexpected, and otherwise to show that, I will be a worthy leader in a relationship. And so, but again, what I would be looking for in a person that I would bring in as a wife, then yeah, that person will also be looking to give as much as I'm looking to give. And so, that could be acts of kindness and, it could also be a little money sometimes. Yeah. So 100% though, out of the question.
Yeah.
Okay. Jayrick?
Yeah. The research with me is, it depends, and I think the challenge is with a lot of my clients, especially, young adults and on the dating market right now, there's a fear and trepidation of going out, meeting women, or even matching with them, right? And by the time you get to across the table, I mean, a lot of guys are just thinking, all right, is there really like a low to medium interest, or is she really into me? Is she really feeling me? Does she really want to have sex with me tonight, or am I going to have to go through hoops? So, I think there was a great social contract, in 1926 and in the 50s and 60s where men were providing high resources and added value to women's lives that added protection, security, provision. But in return, they were getting family and all the kind of dynamics that, kept a stable kind of pipeline. And I think what's happening now, there's a bad contract happening in the 21st century right now. Not to say it's women's fault or men's fault, but we have to kind of get recalibrated. And I think to preface this, and I want to give a big shout out to my mother and father. My father met my mother in the Philippines, served in Vietnam, but they represented, I think, what is missing in modern society now: male provider, and then a wonderful nurturing woman. So, I'm privileged because when you grow up in a nuclear environment with also adjacent neighbors that also are married and in communal, you're getting an understanding of who women really are and who men are, right? First, your first relationship with a woman is your mother. Your first relationship with a man is your father, right? And so that sets the tone. And I think so, yes, when everything is equaled out, men should always be taking care of the greater load in proportion of, the family dynamic, protecting women, protecting children, and then ensuring also having enough dividends to take care of your adjacent neighbors' kids. So we've kind of lost that. So I think I'm looking forward to the conversation. But yes, men should take care of everything.
So you're saying that men should take over? Okay.
If you rise to the ideal conditions of what I just...
Yeah. Because we also can talk in terms of dating, because you meet someone, you find them attractive, you ask them out on a date. You're expected to pay, but when does it become... Is it reciprocity that she says, "Oh, I have the tip," or when does that show up? Because you're dating to get to know the person. You don't know if they're wifey material. You don't know if they're girlfriend material. You're still learning her, and so how do you? What's your limitations? Where do you see? Okay, at this point, I need to see her try, or I'm going to move on.
I'll say it again.
Okay.
It's just, if I'm investing time, effort, energy, trying to get to know you, and that involves, taking you on dates, things that I enjoy doing so that you can get a window into me and the way I live. And if this is something that you can see yourself being a part of, I'm going to pay for that experience if it involves a cost. I just need you to be a good listener in terms of, if we're having conversations and I mentioned something, maybe you are able to go out and do a little research in a certain area that I express interest about and bring that to me. Or maybe, I like, a certain little small item, or it could just be you want to show off your cooking skills or something like that, and you want to bring me a picnic basket or something. You know what I'm saying? It's just something that shows that you are also investing in getting to know me just like I'm trying to get to know you.
Yeah, it's not going to change. Since the beginning of time immemorial, men have always, figured out ways to kind of protect, whole villages or even women just at the individual level. And I think there has to be a reciprocal kind of exchange, and where women are reading between the lines and saying, hey, so this is what I do. When we bring women into my platform, women want to know, hey, how can I hit the ground running and be different than like competitors? Now you have to also get over yourself and humble yourself and say, hey, I'm not as special as I think I am. And I actually do have other groups of women that are trying to get at the same guy I'm trying to get at. So cool. Okay. How can I distinguish myself? And that's kind of where I come in. But then it's just also being able to let go of what you think you have to do because every other woman is doing it. So there's, I think, carrying yourself with dignity and grace. It's just, we have to kind of teach that again. Because I don't want women to go down a pipeline where they have to date multiple men just to figure it out.
I didn't expect that response. I was looking at my questions, and it was like, are men expected to prove interest through money? And I just know some women, the more you spend, hey, he's spending money on me, I'm special, because that's the narrative, he's got the hair and nails, pay for the babysitter, pay for dinner, pay for, all the things. Oh, I got a baller, I got a guy. But is it really interest, or is it women are just want money or want to see?
It's transactional.
Yes.
It's very transactional. I think once you see the money being spent, it's hard for you to kind of pull in your emotions to really see that person at its core. You know what I mean? And to appreciate this person.
Right.
It's more so instant gratification. It's more so, can we go on this trip? Can you buy me this bag? It's everything on the surface. And nowadays, really, people don't want to do the work to be able to be vulnerable, to see what this person may be wanting from me, or just to lean in, you know what I mean? And most people don't like to lean in. It's just, again, the transaction. Okay, he can pay my bills, he can be this, because I'm in survival mode all day long. I need a man that can pay my bills. But to love me, yeah. You gotta.
Rochelle, I see your face.
Well, I just think that so much pressure is put on men to provide in that way. And then what happens when they're not able to?
Right.
Yeah.
And so it does become a transaction where their whole worth is so dependent upon what they can do for you. And then how they feel about you kind of goes away when they're not able to provide those luxuries. And that's a very sad concept. So we see two men here who seem financially stable and they're able to provide that. But I have a platform over 60,000 people. So I have some people in my group that are unemployed right now, just simply due to, the nature of what's going on in America right now.
Yeah.
So are those people not worthy of love? And then to piggyback off what you said about the 20%, well, what is that? 20% of 100,000 or 1 million? And so that's a whole nother conversation when you get into lifestyles and paying for everything. In our grandmother's day, they weren't getting their nails done. They weren't eating out. And a man with the cost of living at that time could definitely take care of home, when a house was $85,000 back in the 40s. Now, when you're talking about really taking care of a family and a household, what does that really look like in percentage-wise? And what people can offer and what they can't?
So would you date someone who didn't have money or unemployed? And this is across the board.
No.
Broke dudes are some of the most successful men when it comes to dating. I've seen it firsthand. Brothers who don't have a job or that's unemployed or something like that, they are some of the most successful with women.
Yeah.
They are. They got some of the...
Because our women don't know their worth.
And
they're settled. It's settlement.
And to be fair, these guys can be charming. They can be, they can kind of fit that bill as far as an aesthetic, or, they can bring whatever element of excitement or something like that. It's something that these men are providing, especially younger women. Hey, who said it? I didn't say it. But
and it's also
at the end of the day, they're providing something. And that's, you know what I'm saying? As long as they're providing something that a woman values, they're going to get attention, especially in a certain market. Our conversation more or less has to do with, getting a little bit further along, people who are in a stage where we're looking for something serious, and what does that kind of look like? And so in that dynamic, like to go back to your point about the 20%, for example, it would just be out of whatever you're bringing as far as, an income. Because if you're outside of my home working for someone else to help make them rich, you know what I'm saying? Whatever comes from them and their company to pay you, some of that needs to be going into our household, not just for you and your bills and to cover you or your expenses, right? So you're going to be contributing something to the household. But no, it's not like your money is going to be needed, but you just need to be able to show that, hey, you're contributing and you're investing into the home as well. You're doing something directly to kind of contribute, right? And so, I'll just leave it there.
No, that's good.
I think if you're not dating someone within the pay band that you're making, or the education band that you have completed, or your empathy meter, or if you're not dating someone within that's equal to you, you're settling, and that's going to lead to resentment. and it's going to lead to the inevitable breakup. So I think dating within your, like in physicality, it's called looks match. Dating within to your match is so important, and it's important to know yourself. So I think someone living in survival mode, not having a job, not working in their passion, not working on themselves, I'm not going to waste my time on them. They might be the most beautiful man I've ever seen, but that's not going to be fulfilling to me because I know who I am. I know what I want. I know what goals I'm trying to achieve. And then if I'm not working towards that, I'm doing myself a disservice.
So, I mean, I don't know. Going back to the dating process and you wanting her to show that she's also interested, because you are taking her on dates, you are spending money, you're giving her experiences. Is it interest through money? Like, do you feel like, men are supposed to expect to prove himself through the money? Because I don't know, I hear a lot of back and forth about, men need to pay for everything and da 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 da. And then I'm hearing you guys and what you all have emotional intelligence. So you're coming with some logic. But there's not a lot of men who think that way. So I want you to think past like your experiences, but what are other men are saying about should they pay for it?
Yeah, you can't cheat the game. And I think what's happened now is, okay, you get the guy who wants to lead with money, but he can still be a lame. And there's just all kinds of other qualities that, he doesn't possess that now, 2026, women are looking for. So again, going back to the social contract of the past, I mean, what my mother, father, grandfather, and grandmother, what they were working was more of a survival kind of strategy. Whereas now, to kind of break in now as a guy in the dating market, which is really tough, it's more than just the money. You've got to really be attractive. And we've got even areas like looks maxing now where guys are trying to really head to toe just get their bodies complete, which is great. But then you got to have charisma and charm and humor. And there's a lot of things that go with it. So, I think the burner performance for men is just really high right now because women are more selective and pickier than ever before. And I think it's incumbent on women to be able to also communicate, exactly what they want, especially if they're looking for a guy that may not have. I mean, to be quite frank, and I'm going to have to advocate for men, a lot of men are invisible right now.
Yes.
Because guys like me can go on a college campus, take a freshman, sophomore to Mastros, and she's disqualified all the upperclassmen who traditionally would have been the guys on her bandwidth, right? In terms of money and status. So, you have to also kind of meet people where they're at. And I think what we're doing is people are stretching to find talent outside of the campuses, outside of their local vicinities, their states, regions, to kind of be where, most women want, like the top 20% of guys. So there's no issue with wanting what you want. But then when it comes down to getting the outcome, that's when things get really rocky.
Yeah, I agree. I think 90% of women want 10% of men, right? And that usually is the upper echelon, 10% of men. So you have a large pool fighting for, that income bracket or what they can offer, which is where that transactional comes in.
That's something. I mean, is that social media? Is that a result of social media? Like,
Yes.
I think it's a result of
this mindset that you need someone and they're supposed to do everything for you financially.
Yeah, for sure. When you see money being spurged on Instagram, you see those cars and the luxury lifestyle. Is that realistic? No. You know what I mean? So when women look at that, and then even with the men, you look at fake butt, fake tits, nothing is real. And then until you get it, it's like, this is boring. I don't want to sacrifice. I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to be broke and just pay my bills. Here you go.
I think women are more educated than ever before. I think men have always been picky and choosy of their partner. and women are barely catching up. Yeah, we want a man that's educated and emotionally mature and has a savings and, it's going to be a good leader. And I don't think some women on social media will take it a step further and they'll say, I need the 666, 6 inches, 6 figures, 6 foot, 6 pack. And that's not really a fair classification at all. But I think women are more willing to look beyond the physical piece than men are. I will say that. I have seen some beautiful women with some busted men. And I've seen very few men. You don't see a good looking guy with like a mediocre woman. You just don't see that.
I don't know.
Say that one more
I
time,
don't know about
MJ.
that. Yeah.
I've seen some beautiful women with some very mediocre men. And I have not seen the converse.
Yeah. I think that's very interesting, and that that those kind of examples would stand out. I would ask if you see that dynamic. Is this guy doing or bringing something else that's of real value to that beautiful woman? I like to think of like beautiful women, for example, in this kind of analogies. Let's say that, for example, they're like Ferraris, right? So, in general, a Ferrari is very expensive. Not very few people in the world can afford a Ferrari. You got to go through all these hoops or whatever to be able to go down there and buy a Ferrari. Even if you're rich, you just can't walk in and just buy a Ferrari, right? There's a whole thing you got to go through. But it's a Ferrari. But the general profile of a person who can afford a Ferrari, they can afford 10 or 20 Ferraris, not even bat an eye.
Right.
So that's in a way, that's almost kind of like how the dating market is in terms of, beautiful women as a ratio of to desirable men.
Yes.
Now, what makes a man desirable? Maybe it's physique or his charm or some combination of that, money and everything. If he's got the whole package, of course he's going to be winning out here. You know what I'm saying? But those are the kind of men that can walk into the dealership and buy 20 Ferraris. All 20 Ferraris want to be with that guy. You know what I'm saying? And it wouldn't even be anything out of his bank account. He wouldn't miss it at all. And so I think, it's very interesting, especially nowadays, because I would agree with you more so in the past that women would overlook a man's looks and his charisma, that combination of it in the past. But I think, more recently in modern times that women are absolutely visual. They're almost as visual as men now. You know what I'm saying? They want something that's looking good on their arm so they can kind of, have their girlfriends to look at them away like, okay, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, they want to show off whoever they're dealing with, and they want to be able to take nice pictures and stuff like that because, remember, they're already working, so they're getting their own money, so they're not necessarily looking for men to, to actually just be a provider, because that used to be more important than a man's looks at one time. Yeah. But now it's starting to kind of shift. You know what I'm saying? And back to your point about men, you really got to try to do everything. You know what I'm saying? Because one person may like the charm, another person may like the way you dress, another person may like your physique, another person. But so you got to have everything to try to get, a decent catch out here in the dating market.
Yes, because I think they say women now are dating for character and adding value to the woman's life and not the necessity to pay bills, what we were able to do in the past. So this was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. Thank you all for being here. So that is all we have today with Tonya Buford with Beyond the Profile. Swipe less, connect more. We'll see you next time. Bye. Hi, I'm Tonya Buford with Beyond the Profile. Swipe less, connect more. So today we talked about, should the man pay for everything? And we had a consensus panel. They all agreed that yes, but somehow we kind of got a little bit off and they started to say maybe 80-20. They want to see that the person that they're with is more invested and it's not just about the money. It's not just about paying for everything. So we learned a lot in that episode, and I would say it was an enlightening conversation. And if you have a comment or anything you'd like to share about it, we would love to hear from you. Make sure you subscribe, We love your feedback. And hey, thanks for watching. This is Tonya with Beyond the Profile. Swipe less, connect more. We'll see you on the next episode.